see here. This is working properly. Okay, I guess that's fine. I should get my phone. Maybe I'll close this a little bit. Okay, I'm in a hotel room right now. What else is new? Traveling. And I thought I would hop on Livestream to answer your questions. And I've never done this live stream before on YouTube, so we'll see if it works well. I asked on my Instagram if you guys had any questions you wanted me to talk about or things to address a few days ago. And so I took some snapshots of some of the questions that you guys had asked. And I wanted to just kind of switch things up from live stream on Instagram and instead test this out on YouTube. So for those of you joining, I'm in Aspen. I'm in a hotel and I'm speaking today. So I just kind of different place, wanted to switch it up. So let's start off with some of these questions here. Okay. And if you guys have any questions too, I don't know, it might take a while for people to hop on here. No one might hop on, or it might just be 4 of us. Hi, how are you? I'm good, thanks. Okay, let's see here. So let's see. How was I able to travel the world in under 2 years? So it took a lot of planning. It took like a 1.5 years worth of planning. I had to secure the sponsors, the investors, the nonprofit endorsement. I go over everything in my book, and I've actually written a couple blogs on it as well. But it involved a lot of work, a lot of planning, strategic planning for the visas and everything as well to make sure I had all those in place. So it wasn't just get up and go travel the world. When I was like 21, I did that. I saved up some money and then I left and I started traveling, and that was just like backpacking, spur of the moment thing. But this sort of expedition around the world involves a lot of planning. So I highly suggest anyone who's looking to travel the world to plan in advance and just make sure to have a game plan instead of just go out there and assuming that it'll all pan out. The visas are really hard. And a lot of the times, sometimes they got denied, so I had to redo them. And so you don't want to be stuck in a country not able to enter the next one. So just make sure to plan in advance. What is the most underrated place that surprised me? I would say the Middle East in general, but specifically, I've mentioned it so much, but Pakistan for sure. That was a place that just really surprised me in regards to the safety there, traveling alone as a woman, and also just the beauty of it all, the landscape, the food, the culture. It was a really amazing, powerful experience there. But there were also, I guess North Korea surprised me as well. I thought it was going to be a lot worse and a lot less interesting, but it was very interesting. And yeah, it was cool. So those are the 2 places that kind of surprised me the most, I'd say. Let's see, no questions on here. I'm going to keep going through these questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. Let's see. So there's a few questions about training for an Ironman. Yeah, North Korea. Yeah, so that was definitely, you can go as an American in North Korea. You just have to make sure to have the visa in place. And the visa was like $1,000 roughly for US citizens. I'm not sure for other countries, but for Chinese citizens, it was $300. So there was a pretty big difference there when it came to the visa for North Korea. So training for an Ironman, I'll start off with the swim. I grew up swimming, and swimming is my strongest. So I did that in high school. So I'm kind of well accustomed to open water swimming. It's kind of my strongest event in Ironman. I would say it's probably the least strongest event for most people. Yeah, that's true. No photos allowed in North Korea. Well, you can take depending on so that they'll tell you when you can take photos and what you can take photos of and what you can't. So the leaders, when you took photos of them, their whole body had to be in the photo. So you couldn't just get like the waist up; their whole body had to be in it. And you couldn't take pictures of like the public or anything. So you could take pictures, but you just had to be you had to listen to what they say in regards to what. And you also had to expect that your pictures were going to get checked and confiscated as well. So I just brought like I took pictures with my MacBook Air, which I cleaned off, which had nothing on it. And that's how I was like, if they take then so what? But they're not taking my phone where I have more information and photos. Um, so Ironman training in regards to the swim, yes, that's probably, I would recommend starting off really slow and you joining a swim class or a master's swim to really kind of get used to it, as well as kind of finding a buddy who's on the same level as you to kind of start kind of getting into the getting used to swimming. And then once you are used to kind of swimming the pool and perfecting your stroke, head out into the open water. And there's open water swims in so many places in America, at least, but also around the world. I know that because Ironman is a worldwide thing. And they'll have kayakers go beside you, and you can just you can feel safe knowing that there's someone there to save you in case something bad happens or you feel uncomfortable or whatnot. So that's what I recommend. Cycling, you got to get used to road bike and a tri bike if you'd like to go that route, which I'm about to buy my first tri bike, and so that's going to be really yeah. So let's see. How do you train? So it's a complex question. How do you train for all disciplines? So I'm not going to get into it unless people on here want me to talk about that. But anyways, I have an Ironman coming up in a few months, Ironman Florida. It's actually November 3rd, so it's coming up pretty quickly. So that's why I'm kind of doing a lot of training, and I just love it. I don't know why. Okay, people like you can change perspective of thinking with your honest view. Yeah, I think so too. I think travel can be perceived as being really easy and amazing and happy and beautiful, but there's a whole other side to travel too that people don't show. I tried to show the beauty and the positivity even in places like Afghanistan and Somalia. People, it's obvious that if you go anywhere and say like Europe or even South America or Asia, where there's so many beautiful places, it's easy to make it all look really easy and fun, but there's a lot of depth to it, and I think people don't talk about that enough. So I like to shed light on that through my vlogs as much as possible. Did you pay for all your trips? Well, that kind of depends. I think that's a question that has many layers to it, because when I first started traveling, I paid for everything. I've always paid for my travels up until the expedition. And even so, I saved up roughly $10,000 to do the expedition, but then I had to get the sponsors and investors for it. So I was able to secure flights and hotels and tour agency, so I was able to have my travel sponsored. Now, nowadays, when I travel, it's mainly for work. So for events, for speaking engagements, and that's usually covered by the business. So I typically don't really pay for my travels much anymore. I did pay for my travels, like driving across to Colorado, but I don't really. Yeah, so I've done a lot of travel the past decade, and I'm kind of like a little bit traveled out. So I will only travel now for speaking engagements or for my nonprofit or for humanitarian work. I won't necessarily just travel just for fun anymore. But if I do, then yeah, I'll pay for those trips unless I'm promoting a company. So let's see here. Are you guys from YouTube or are you from Instagram? I'm curious to know. Let me know in the comments where you're coming from. Okay. Let's see here. There's so many questions. I don't know what to. Anxiety, how to get visas quickly. Cool. Yeah, I've not a lot of people are. I don't think people really even know I have a YouTube channel, but my videos from my travels in like Afghanistan and Somalia and all that. That's I think people are here for those. So my videos now are kind of like just basic. I feel like, but yeah. So I guess I don't think people really know to come on here, but I thought I'd try it out because why not? You know. Any other questions you guys have? Let's see. I have taken care of health while traveling, dealing with anxiety. Uh, let's see, how to get visas quickly. I guess that's a good question. A lot of people are worried about um, how long have you been traveling? I've been traveling since the age of 18. So I don't know if people know this, maybe not, but I didn't grow up traveling. So my mom's from Canada, but I'd only been to Canada up until the age of 18. So we didn't travel. And we didn't really have the money to travel. It wasn't a priority. And so I never really got to. So when I had the chance at the age of 18 to go to college abroad, I jumped on that opportunity because I wanted to travel. So ever since the age of 18, it's been 11 years now. I've been traveling on and off. So it's kind of like my life now. I don't really know what to do other than that, like making a career out of travel. So for getting visas, quickly, I would say there's some countries where it's out of your hands. For instance, Pakistan took 5 months. Turkmenistan was a hit or miss. It was just luck of the draw. They don't like to. They're not a huge tourist culture, so they don't like to give out visas too often to even just your regular tourists. I actually had to contact the embassy, and it was the same with Yemen. So it was kind of like a very difficult process and a long process for Yemen, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, and Syria as well. Aside from those countries, which I assume most of you won't be going to speed up the process, do it in advance as much as possible. As in, apply for your visas in advance, submit everything you need to, have a host there if they require that. Just really go to their website, their government website, and look at all the requirements you need, not the US Gov website, their website. Because they're constantly changing their processes and what you need and what they require. So I would go off their website, make sure you have everything, send it in well in advance, just in case anything happens, and do it over and over again. That's the quickest way. I think if you, like I said, if you wait till last minute, you could experience some problems. So the quickest way, I guess, would be to do it as far in advance as possible. What part of Pakistan? So yeah, I started off in Karachi, then I went to Lahore, and then I went to Islamabad. And I didn't get up into the mountains, unfortunately. I did want to go up there, but it's nice to know that they do have the mountains up there for next time I go. I liked Karachi because it's on the beach. It's kind of got that interesting vibe down there. But I also liked Lahore because it was kind of like in the cloud forest, and you have the Wagah border ceremony, which is really cool. And that was like it's kind of like it's between India and Pakistan, and they have this like it's like a cultural event. I mean, they sell popcorn. You're sitting there. You have like on one side there's India and the Indians, and then there's on this side there's the Pakistanians and the Pakistanis, and then they're just kind of like you have the guards like marching together and doing this gun thing. People are like taking pictures and eating popcorn, so it's kind of like going to like a baseball game in America, except it's completely different, obviously, but it was a really interesting thing. I've never seen anything like it. It was really probably one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my entire life, was going to that. And I asked them if they experienced like any danger, because there's such a clash between the two countries. And they said they have had threats and stuff. So there's a lot of security, but it's still an interesting thing to do. People go to. So yes. Yeah, that's true. Favorite food in Pakistan? I'm really bad at remembering the names of the foods there in any place. But hmm, there are these like I think they have them in India too, actually. But they're like these balls, kind of, and they're in sugar. They're really good. I forget what they're called. There's so much. I'm so bad at remembering anything, including the names of people and the names of food. It's like I can't remember any of that. But the food there was amazing, very dense and really great. Yeah, gulab jamun. That's what it was. That's so good. I love that. It was so sweet and nice. And then we had yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. There was so much good. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. Anything else? Let's see. I'm looking on here again. Taking care of health while traveling. I think it's important to when trying to stay healthy while traveling. There's one thing you want to avoid getting illnesses when you're traveling, but you also want to stay healthy so you can continue your travels and continue to avoid illnesses. So I would like I'm going to Africa the end of the month, and I need to be vigilant. Yeah, I did hear about that flight. I don't know what happened. I meant to look that up and see the update on that. Um, but I need to be really vigilant because I have an Ironman coming up a month after I arrive, and so if I get sick, it's really gonna it could be a make or break kind of thing. So I'm really preparing myself right now for Africa because I'm going into like the tundra, like the I'm going to be planting trees. So I'm going to be in kind of in the wilderness, planting trees and doing a lot of stuff like that. So there is risk, and I'm going to definitely have to be on anti-malarials, and I'm going to have to watch my food consumption. I'll probably bring a bunch of bars to eat because I just at that stage, like I really need to be careful because I have this race and I'm training. Otherwise, I wouldn't really care. But it is important to. I did on my expedition avoid a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables in places that I knew there could be a risk, and like raw fish as well, like sushi, which I love sushi, but I had to avoid that in some of the countries because I knew that if I got sick, I wouldn't be able to make it to my next meeting with the students or travel, and I was on such a tight deadline. But you also have to stay healthy to avoid that. So I made sure to do workouts in my room, morning walks. I brought my like resistance band, and I would do some exercises and drink a lot of water every single morning. When I woke up, I'd drink like a liter of water with lemon if I could find it. And so that kind of kept me healthy throughout my travels. Um, hmm. Yes, I found the Pakistani people to be very hospitable to me and very kind. And I don't, I can't really speak for everyone because I've heard different things. It depends on who you are, it depends on where you're coming from, depends, honestly, if you're a male or a female. I think, this all depends on how people treat you in general. But in my personal experience, I found everyone to be really kind to me in Pakistan. The men and the women were really kind. I didn't feel like I was being I guess harassed in a lot of the countries by the men. Especially Italy was one country where whenever I go there, I experience like harassment. But I didn't feel uncomfortable at all in Pakistan. I think that's why I liked it so much. I had such a good feeling from it. I was there for a full week, so I was all over the country, so I had a pretty good experience of the place. And yeah, I felt that people were really, really nice and kind. So I would highly recommend going there for people who are wondering if they should or they shouldn't, especially if you're a woman traveling alone. I had a great experience. You just have to have street smarts. Anything could happen at any time. So anywhere you go is going to be a risk, and that's what I'm talking about today. Actually, is you could just you never know when something is going to happen. You're going to lose your life. You never know. It's just something you kind of have to be always prepared for. If you can't even be prepared for it, but you have to have that in the back of your mind that could happen. So that almost like allows you to be more open and willing to take risks and see new places and do things that you wouldn't usually if say you were living forever. So I think it's really important to take those risks. Um, what are the three best places in your opinion for a couple to go outside the US? It's, you know what? I think you have a lot more opportunity when you're a couple traveling together. It's you can really you can go anywhere. I mean, you have each other to kind of rely on. One thing I realized when I was traveling alone was that if I got like sick or whatever, like I had to just completely always take care of myself. I could never be like, can you please get me a glass of water? Can you grab my medicine or blah, 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 can you help me or who do we? So I had to figure out everything on my own. When you're a couple, you kind of have that dependency, which makes things you also feel a little bit safer too when you're with someone else, I feel like. So I would say anywhere. It really depends on where you want to go. Beach, mountain, desert, what kind of culture, Asia, Latin America, Europe, so the world is your oyster. Wherever you feel like going. There's no place I wouldn't recommend going except for a lot of kind of Eastern Africa, Northeastern Africa, and obviously like Yemen and Syria and North Korea. But thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. I'm trying to post every week, but it's been a really crazy past month. So it's hard to stick to that every week thing when you don't have like a team helping you edit. So editing a video takes anywhere from 8 to 15 hours for me. And it's not even like that great. So there's so much work that goes into these videos. So I appreciate it when you guys like it and let me know what you do like, what you don't like. So I can learn and create better content for you guys. I just do it for fun. I don't make anything off of YouTube. YouTube is not like it's pretty much just only for me to share my life with you guys in a different way. So awesome. Best country I visited in Europe. I really liked Ukraine. Switzerland is my favorite country just because you're in the mountains. I'm a mountain person, really can't beat that. I love it. I love the mountains over there. And the food is great. So Switzerland, but I also love Ukraine. I liked Belgium a lot. Those are probably my favorite ones, I'd say. Yeah. And then, yeah. Which is the best, most amazing place you visited? It's a really hard question because it's pretty much like the question should be, what's your favorite place in each region of the world or every continent? I would say that it changes. Sometimes I'll think like today I drove 4 hours in the car and I was reliving these moments in different countries. As I was driving here, it's kind of turning into fall already in Colorado, and the leaves are changing, and it just brought me back to places that I was in the world where the leaves were changing, and I'm like, that place was amazing. So it really constantly changes. I remember I was in Germany in the fall, and it was just like really stunning. I've always loved Germany. That's true. I've been there a couple times, and I went to Oktoberfest, and I love Munich. That's my favorite spot in Germany. And then Latin America, Argentina. I love the fall down there. I've been down there a few times too, and it's just amazing and smells so nice. So, yeah, there's so many beautiful places, but it's also the people too. I personally love Argentinians. I dated an Argentinian back in the day, and I just love the culture. South America was my first, area of the world that I'd ever Central America, Costa Rica, but then I headed south. So Latin America was my introduction to travel, really. And so I kind of developed a love for like the Spanish language and the people and the culture, different landscapes. I just really loved it. I love it down there. Anyways, I could go on and on, but let's see. Okay, favorite city or area in Pakistan. I mean, I was only in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, and I'm not much of a city person, so I would say the closest I got to really experiencing kind of more of a rural area kind of culture of Pakistan was in Lahore, and in and around Lahore. So that's what I really liked the most in Pakistan. Yeah, I should do maybe more Q&As on my channel. I wish maybe they'll be more structured next time. I don't know. Armenia. Yeah, I did visit Armenia, but unfortunately, and this is the bummer with like traveling so quickly, and even traveling in general, like when you kind of go spur of the moment to a different country. If you're traveling somewhere, you're like, hey, let's go here for a few days or a weekend. It's all dependent on, like, if there's like a political uprising going on, or the weather, or whatever. You never know. When I was in Armenia, it was like a whiteout, like just snow, and I couldn't really do much. There wasn't much to really do. Everyone was like inside. So I was there for like the weekend. I didn't really get to see much. It was, all I remember is it just being like a whiteout. I couldn't even really I did get a couple pictures. I think I posted one on my Instagram, but yeah, I didn't have an awesome experience there because of the weather, which, when you're traveling alone too, it's kind of tough. If you are alone and there's no one there, like you can't go to a restaurant and easily make conversations with people about where to go. Everyone's just kind of indoors. It's not much you can really do. Um, okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's totally fine over there. Like Armenia is fine. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let me see. Let me see on here if there's any more questions. Mm, I would say, wait, let me see here. I have anxiety, Ironman. Okay, let me see here. Okay. Oh, which of the Micronesian islands is your favorite? Palau for sure. That was my first country. I visited on this expedition, and it was my favorite because it was just so remote. People don't really go there, and it was just so stunning with the rock islands and flying over them in a little tiny plane, like kind of with the door open, hanging out of it. I loved Palau a lot. I also really like Vanuatu. I think that's Micronesia, I believe so. But I loved Vanuatu. I spoke to the students there. I had a really great experience there. And again, it's one of those lesser travel places. So I love going to those places that people don't typically travel to, just so I can kind of, it's a different experience and it's unique. So, okay. Um, yes, I did go to Bangladesh, and I think it was on my way from uh, India to Nepal, and then I went back through Bangladesh again to get back to India, because then I went to Sri Lanka. But I liked Bangladesh, but I didn't really get to do much there, honestly. I didn't meet with any students there, so I wasn't hosted there or anything. I just kind of wandered around, but I didn't really get a full feel for it. So, in all honesty, like I've said this, I'm not really a city person. I think it's a really good way to experience, the culture and everything, but I tend to get anxiety, so I tend to kind of go to the smaller villages to really get a sense of that. That's what I like to do. And I didn't get to do that in Bangladesh, unfortunately. It's a bummer. Bahrain was great. I had a great time there. I spoke to the students there and at hospitality school, and I went to, oh my God, so many places. There was a beautiful mosque that I went to, the ruins. There was a beautiful museum. Again, I don't remember the names. I'm so bad at names. But there's a really amazing museum there that I had a really good time at. It was a beautiful museum, and I'm not a museum. I really don't like museums too much, but it was beautiful. Um, I didn't experience any racism in Argentina. I don't. Um, I think there's probably like kind of a cultural clash thing going on with, Italy and Argentina, because a lot of people kind of moved into Argentina from Italy, sort of thing, back in the day. I didn't see any of that though. Yeah. The Roman sites in Libya. No, I didn't. So when I was in Libya, I went to Tripoli, and that was it. And it was So how, like, my hosts in Libya, I had to be hosted there in order to get in, because they don't allow tourist visas. So I had to use my business to get in there for ecotourism, sustainable tourism. And they really advised not to go anywhere at that time. They were really watching out for me. I think I was like, no, well, let's just take a car into the, desert area. Let's check things out. And they didn't want me to do that. So we walked around a little bit, but I had like 3 guys surrounding me. And that was like the one time, and they were really nice, but that was the one time where I felt very like I was never able to be alone. I guess it was there in Syria and Somalia. Those are the 3 places, and Yemen, 4 places where I really couldn't be alone. So I just did whatever they said, because they were looking out for my safety and I trusted them. So, but they said to come back later when things are a little bit better. They gave me this really beautiful big book of Libya, and there's so many beautiful places. It's amazing. Like it's stunning. So I would definitely go back there in a heartbeat once things are a little bit better. There was a high kidnapping thing going on there at the time. Even in broad daylight, they would just take people who obviously, even Libyans themselves, and so I stayed with the local family there in Libya, and they had their friends, one of their friends was kidnapped. So they were really worried about that as well when I was there. Okay. All right. I'm going to end this soon, I think, because 30 minutes is kind of, and then I'll have to do this again and let you guys know in advance. I think I'll try and schedule that so you guys can hop on earlier. Let's see. Okay. That's a really good question. How does it feel knowing you've been blessed to travel the whole world, as most people haven't been? Would you travel the world again? I would not travel the world again. I mean, I would obviously travel again. There's so many places I want to go back to and that I haven't been to. I haven't been to like, Scotland, Puerto Rico. There's so many places I haven't been that I want to go to. But I wouldn't do this whole trip over again. I feel really lucky to have honestly, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It comes down to drive. If you're willing to reach out to companies and spill your guts trying to get funding from them, to pursue your passion, if you're willing to like do your own project, it's like your own project in school to make your dream a reality, put the work into it. Anyone can do anything. And I was like on food stamps before this expedition. I was hardly staying afloat money-wise. So it had nothing to do with money. It just had to do with drive. And I know so many other people who were in the same position financially, but yet they felt that they couldn't do it because they weren't passionate enough about it. So it comes down to those things first and foremost. And secondly, health. So I'm really grateful for my good health to allow me to travel. But even so, there are so many people doing amazing things, people who are blind, who, are missing a limb, who are traveling and doing expeditions and everything, which is really amazing. So I feel very lucky to have this opportunity to do this, to be passionate about it, to be driven, to have good health, and to have the support for people believing in me, nonprofits and organizations. And I think that's really all it takes for anything that you're passionate about is those things. So, so thank you guys so much. Hopefully that was a good Q&A. Next time I'll try and have it a little more organized. Make sure to come here with your questions so we can kind of get going right off the bat. But I'm glad that you guys joined me, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys next time. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.